Dandavat pranams to our friends, family worldwide. We're continuing with this Upadeśa-Amrita challenge. And we have reached a crucial juncture in Upadeśa-Amrita. Now, these first 7 verses, right? We've been through the first 7 verses. They are dealing with general principles. You'll see throughout this Upadeśa-Amrita of 11 verses, even though it's a very big book, there's a very clear, systematic approach and development that has been adopted by Srila Rupa Goswami, where he's moving from more general to more specific. General principles to more specific, more refined principles. And so the early verses of Upadeśa-Amrita, they're dealing with issues which are applicable on a universal level, almost, anyone who as our Gurudev said, he said, we appreciate anything in this world, any practice that is trying to raise people from a base material conception to something higher, trying to lift people up to something higher, to something good. We appreciate that. So the early verses of Upadeśa-Amrita, they are like that. They are more general, and they are applicable in even outside of the spiritual plane. Anyone can appreciate some of these principles, right? 6 favorable qualities, right? Enthusiasm, patience, perseverance, all these things, the need to control our senses, bodily urges. These are applicable in any yoga system, right? So these are dealing with general principles. And then the 6th verse, the importance of honoring, appreciating the Vaishnavas, overlooking superficial faults, like this, And they're also, these early verses, they're also like preparing the ground, preparing the way. They're making us eligible, right? Clearing away the dirt, so you are fit to enter a higher plane. Taking a bath, dealing with more basic lessons of spirituality. Now, and then in the last verse which we covered, verse 7, then going a little more specific, the significance of the holy name, the importance of the holy name, which is specifically what Mahaprabhu has emphasized, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, as we come to verse 8, there's a quite a big shift here. We're entering specifically into the plane of Rupanuga Bhajan. What is it precisely? What is it exactly that is being cultivated by those in the line of Rupa? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So what is it precisely that Rupa Goswami, who was established by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the most beloved of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is it that he is specifically presenting? Entering into the spiritual world, there are many different zones, many different conceptions, ideals. What is the exact entry point? What is the exact plane, the exact zone in the spiritual sky which has been pointed out by Rupa Goswami to be the highest, to be the most superior, the highest aspiration? That we're coming to, something very specific. And also we can add to that something which we are not eligible ourselves for, right? These first 7 verses are all things that we are trying to deal with, right? Let's review them quickly again. The first of these verses, the 6 urges, 6 bodily urges, speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, genitals, dealing with that. The 6 unfavorable qualities. Gonna have to remind myself here. Achahar, overaccumulation, over-endeavor, speaking about mundane things. Prayasha, prajalpa, niyamhak, too much adherence to the rules or too much laxity with the rules. And keeping bad association, fickleness of mind, 6 unfavorable qualities, 6 positive qualities, enthusiasm, conviction, patience, following all the prescribed, recommended practices of devotion, keeping good association. I'm missing one here. Giving up bad association. I wanted to mention this before and I forgot. That it's an interesting point that giving up negative association is twice in upadeśa-sāram. It's cited, giving up bad association is cited as a good quality, and keeping bad association is cited as a negative quality. So it's emphasized a lot here. Then the 6 loving exchanges: offering gifts, receiving gifts, opening one's mind in confidence, hearing confidentially, offering food, prasad, and receiving that. These are the 6 types of intimate exchanges which we will try to keep amongst those of the same ideal as ourselves. And then the importance of gradation, appreciating gradation amongst our community and group of practitioners, and honoring persons according to their level of realization, and seeking their association in a manner that is appropriate to their level of realization. And then the importance of overlooking the faults, the material faults of either advanced practitioners or beginner but sincere practitioners of devotion. Overlooking those material failings and seeing the higher spiritual elements within. And then lastly, the last one, the value of the holy name. And through this sincere chanting of the holy name, everything will come to us, and what was initially bitter to us will become sweet. Rooted in the material conception, we are tasting sweet as bitter. Spiritual sweetness we are tasting as bitter, but through the chanting of the holy name, we will begin to taste that sweetness. So all of these things, these are like the kind of things we're all struggling with, right? These first 7 verses, they're dealing with the here and now. And now, 8, 9, 10, 11, the last 4 verses are discussing the ideal. We're not there yet. It's up here. The first 7 verses are on our level, and these last 4, they're up here, above us. Puja laragapat gorva bange. We are doing puja to that higher plane. We worship the ideals of that higher plane, understanding we're not there. We're still struggling with vacho vegam, right? We can't control the urge to speak. We can't control the urges of the belly, the genitals, etc. We're here, but we're holding this up here. And that is also not something to be taken so lightly, because as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, we must judge a person according to their ideal. If they are sincerely holding that in their heart, moving towards that in a sincere manner, then they will get there. Today or tomorrow, the next day or the day after. Can't say exactly when, but they will get there. So it is not to be taken lightly that someone has been able to identify a particular ideal and hold that within their heart. That is to be honored. But we also have to understand where we are and know when we can actually apply that ideal and when not to. So we're in the not to stage, right? So here, the culture of pure devotion, right, comes into having clear understanding. What is the nature of pure devotion? What are all the steps that are along the way? How can we recognize when we're really there? And so Rupa Goswami, he's described sometimes as the acharya of Abhideya Tattva, the way, the path, because he has most clearly illuminated, laid out these teachings. What is pure devotion? And so Anya Bilashita Shanyam Jnana Karmadyanaritam Anukul Yena Krishna Anushilanam Bhaktir Uttama. This is one of Rupa Goswami's verses, one of the most famous and significant verses, defining what is pure devotion. Uttama Bhakti, the highest type of bhakti. Anya Bilash, it is free from all the coverings of this world. So Anya Bilash means all the random whimsical desires that float through our mind, to do this, to do that, to see this, to see that, to taste this, to touch that, and so on and so forth. It's called anya-bilash, and other desire, literally, other desires. So shunya, free from that. And also free from the covering of gyan, the aspiration for dry knowledge, theoretical knowledge, the aspiration for liberation, all of these things, the spirit of calculation. And karma, free from the desire for some worldly result, some worldly fruit from our practices of devotion. So what is free from all these coverings, these superficial layers, this is pure devotion. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam. What is free from all upadis. This is a verse quoted a lot by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Upadi means some material designation, some material identification that we hold, that I am this, I'm a woman, I am a man, I'm rich, I'm poor, I'm ugly, I'm beautiful. Identification with his body and everything that is associated with any ideal of this world. So, sarvapadi vinirmuktam, free from that. Pure devotion is free from that. Tatparatvena nirma, and it is in the interest of Krishna. It is not just that we are renouncing the negative, but it is positively in Krishna's interest. Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena sevanam bhaktir uchate. And every atom of our existence, rishikesh, Krishna is the Lord of the senses, rishikena. So all of our senses, every aspect of our existence, every faculty will be dedicated to that Lord of the senses, the Lord of perception. In service, everything will be an offering in service to him. So these things are clearly outlined by our gurus. Until you reach this level, your spirit of dedication, your attempts of service are free from all these superficial layers. You're not in a safe position. You are not really ready to enter into this higher, finer type of practice in the higher sphere, Vrindavan Bhajan. We are not ready for that. And so Rupa Goswami also, he's outlined these different stages that we will go through. Very, very famous, very important. Ado Shraddha, first some faith, Tata Sadhu Sangha, an association, the saints. Bhajana Kriya, our active serving life, practicing life begins. Anartha Nivritti. Then through the potency of those attempts at dedication, anartha nivritti, the purification of our material nature, our material weaknesses, our material coverings, that will start to clear as a result. Purification will take place. Then nishta means fully fixed, 100%, 24 hours a day, fully fixed in remembrance of this higher ideal, engaged in service of this higher ideal. And then ruchi. Ruchi means some taste, some real attraction, some reliable attraction. Srila Sridhar Maharaj comments that until we have that 24 hours remembrance, any taste that we have, it's not reliable. It's not something that we can count on. We're not in a safe position yet. Not the real thing. Something, some touch, some shadow, not the real thing. Only until we can say, when we experience 24 hours a day, continuous absorption in that higher plane, then we're in a safe zone. Then we got something real. And then ruchi, some real taste, some real attraction. Ashakti, some attachment, genuine, deep, substantial attachment. Then bhav. Bhav is the beginning of divine love. The opening of the blossoming of the flower of prema. Srila Sridhar Maharaj uses an expression like that. And then prema, divine love, full-fledged divine love. Then also there are other stages within prema. Sneha, man, I can't remember. This is all far, far, far beyond me. So there's so many different stages, right, that we need to move through until we can reach that higher plane, entrance into Vrindavan life of service, what is being described in this 8th verse, which we have come to. So we are careful. We are careful. Srila Sridhar Maharaj comments in one place also that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he spent 90% of his energy trying to make clear what it is not, what Madhura Rasa, specifically this conjugal love, the highest relationship with Krishna, amorous love with Krishna, Madhura Rasa, that Saraswati Thakur spent 90% of his energy to show what it is not, clearing away the dirt, showing it is not this, it is not this, and it is not that. And so then we can get some idea what it is. And don't conflate the two. 90%. And also another phrase he used, that he spent so many gallons of blood, to show what is the real thing. So it is very important. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj also described this as the whole tenor of Saraswati Thakur's preaching. That this Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bhange, which our Gurudev had inscribed above the front entrance of our temple in Navadvip. Pujala Ragapat Gaurava Bhange. We are remaining in the plane of regulated practicing life, rules, regulations, following prescriptions of our gurus and the scripture. And we are doing puja to that higher plane of free, spontaneous love. Gaurava, in a posture of respect, we are worshipping that higher, free plane of love. We are not thinking we are there. We are not there. We are serving, worshipping that higher plane, adoring that higher plane, but we are not there. We are approaching in a more careful way because our taste is unreliable. We have taste for lower material things, so we cannot rely on our taste for that higher thing. So we are cautious. So then what is that verse? Here we are, verse number 8. Tan-nāma-rūpa-charitādi-sukīrtanānu krameṇa rasanā-manasī niyojya smṛtyoḥ tiṣṭhan vraje tad-anurāgi-janānugāmī kālaṁ akhilam upadeśa-sāram. Read that translation. Engage the tongue and mind in the gradual process of complete glorification and constant remembrance of Krishna's names, forms, pastimes, and so forth. Reside in vraja and spend all your time as a follower of those who have deep attachment to Krishna. This is the essence of all instruction. So another point that comes up here is, there are many different instructions that are given by our gurus, by the scripture. And it's important for us to understand that every instruction, it is for someone at a particular level of realization. Not all, of course. Some are universally applicable. But there are some which they're instructions for someone at a particular class of understanding. Just like what the teacher tells someone in grade 3 and what a teacher tells someone in grade 10, they may even be contradictory, right, at times. It is according to the level. So this verse, this advice, it's quite, how can we say, it is not for us. This advice to live in Vrindavan, and to follow this path of rag, anuragi, to spend all your time as a follower, of a resident of Vrindavan. This is not for our level. And there's a commentary which is included in this edition of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he specifically explains that this instruction to reside in Vrindavan, this is for those who have reached the level of ruchi, who have achieved taste, real divine attraction, taste, pure taste, of this pure attraction for Krishna, Vrindavan, all these higher things. So it is not a general instruction for all. The early part, to engage our tongue, to engage our mind, this is for us in the process of glorification and remembrance of the Lord. Particularly through the practice of kirtan. This is for us. And then through that, if one reaches a higher level through that, then these other things apply. When one reaches the level of ruchi, then these higher things apply. So this verse in particular, it's like a transition point. Then in the early verse, it's, I'm like, this is all like feeling very fresh and new for me. I feel like I'm appreciating upadeśa-sāram in a much deeper way than before. I'm really not, because we're doing this challenge, right? We're going through it systematically day by day. Then I'm seeing this, there's a precise progression that's taking, systematic progression. So these first 7 verses are dealing with struggling, they're speaking to struggling practitioners like ourselves. Then this verse 8 is marking a transition point. There's a juncture, a crucial juncture here. Someone transitioning, like from the navigating these mundane obstacles, transitioning into a pure plane where one is situated on a pure platform. And then 9, 10, 11, the last 3 verses, they are dealing with the ideal in a more focused way. The ideal of the Rupanuga. So, wow. I'm going to stop here. I don't want to let this get too long. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. And look forward to the next installments on this journey. Jai. Shri Shri upadeśa-sāram ki jai, Śrīla Rupa Goswami ki jai, Śrīla Bhakti Sundar Vrindadev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai, all of our wonderful assembled friends ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Gaur Premanande.